this week we are back to the top 100 BGG games of all time. And this week we're looking at X-Wing, the miniatures game, which is a ranked number 26 currently as of November of 2015. And we're going to rank it based on what we think on the four traditional categories of components, theme, gameplay, and replayability. But first, we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike.
I'm David.
All right, and we're going to let David start over here with components.
I have to tell you, with this game, I love the components. The miniatures that you can get, I'll tell you what, I feel like a small child again. And when you play this, that is a good thing to have. Because when you go into it with a sense of awe from your childhood, as when Star Wars came out with me, because yes, I am that old, I loved it. The miniatures sucked me into the game. The cards that go with it, that details what you can and can't do in starting off as a novice, it is pretty self-explanatory. It wasn't hard to understand the game. It was pretty good. The components really led into it for me. So I will give the components, especially with these miniatures and the detail of the cards and the card stock, 9.5. Solid 9.5 for me. I liked it that much. I really did.
I don't blame you.
Even though I felt like crap last couple of times we played. But I loved it.
I agree. I think the pre-painted aspect is what I've argued about before in some miniature games. They're not only pre-painted, they're pre-painted well. When this game first came out, it kind of put me off a little bit on the fact that you got like 3 ships and it was a $30 game. But nowadays you can get this game for a remarkably low price, especially since the new First Order set came out.
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, yeah, and it has the new ships in it now. The old set's on discount. Yeah. The only thing I would complain about, which is not really a complaint, it's more like you went so well, you went so high dollar on these things that the cardboard measuring stick, I guess, tends to get bent a lot, especially if you're in range, 1, 2, or 3 range. That thing tends to not last very long, and some of the dials, when you're putting them together, I made a mess of a couple of them. So beyond that, I'd near say this is one of the most perfect components to a game I've seen because of the detail. It's a subject matter I like, and there's a ton of components when we talk about the number of components. And the fact that you can take one ship and just by reversing the base, make it into different pilots and the different scores, really wins me over. But I'm not going to go to a 10 because of what I've previously said. So I'm going to give it a 9.7 because it's pretty close for me. It's
had to one up you.
Yeah.
I
don't have a problem with that.
It's
I fell in love with it.
I have had a couple, and we're only talking about the base game here. Yeah. But of course, I have a lot of the expansions, and I have had a couple break. Or I didn't break; other people were broke. But they can be a little bit, not for the ham-handed, if I would say that. But that's not their fault. I wouldn't say it's not that they're cheaply made. It's just that they're fine detailed, and so some of them tend to break easily. But 9.7, I can't argue with that. I mean, it's a beautiful game.
Well, those are some pretty high scores there, and I won't argue with you all too much. I'm not going to go quite that high, but yeah, this it's Star Wars X-Wings miniatures game, so right in the title, miniatures. So when you're talking about components on this game, it is going to be almost all about the miniatures, and they're just about perfect. They're Detail is fantastic. The pre-painted aspect of it is great, and of course you can still, if you're one of the types that likes to paint, you can easily customize them and paint right over what they've already done for you. But if you don't want to, what you're getting right out of the box really looks great anyways. So, and just the attention to detail, the scale that they use, I think they did a fantastic job.
Even inside the X-Wings, it's not just a flat X-Wing. They actually got detail in the wing separation. That's
burn marks.
Yeah, it's really good. You can tell when it's been hit. It's nice.
So yeah, they Fantasy Flight did another great job on that. So, again, always looking for reasons to not give something a 10. So for me, Chris touched on it a little bit too. I still think it's a little bit pricey. I really do. There's probably no way to get around that because of the licensing.
Yeah. It is Star Wars.
Yeah, and then Fantasy Flight, they give you quality, but you pay for quality. So it's still a little bit pricey for me. And then the other components are okay, but they're not as good as the minis themselves. But again, really all you really are concerned about in this game are the minis, and they're fantastic. So everything with that said, my final score is an 8.5.
Whoa! That's a grumpy
really
gamer.
good.
That's
really
a grumpy
good.
gamer right there.
That's a strong score.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's.
I didn't see
I
that
would have
coming.
to say if they didn't have the license for Star Wars, and this would say, what's that?
Buck Rogers.
Yeah, anything. Buck Rogers,
Battlestar
Evangelion,
Galactica.
one of those. Even if it was, there's a Star Trek game out just like
Yes,
this, basically.
there is, yeah.
I have not bought the Star Trek game
No.
because it does not pull me in like the name Star Wars. So I'm pretty sure it's probably very close to the mechanics of this.
Yeah.
But it's the license, and so you're going to pay because they had to pay for the license, and so you have to expect a little bit more.
No doubt. But I have to grade it,
Sure.
the way I see it and everything. So, but it's still, I think that's an incredibly high grade.
And I'd like to remind the panel that we're ranking this as if it were on the top 100 of all time list, and if we think rating it against the top 100 games of all time. So we're going to theme.
Theme.
Shall I play some music?
This is one of the idiot-proof things that I like to label when it says Star Wars. Okay, I'm in. Okay, you caught my attention.
They were banking on that.
Yeah, and they did that. I just said, "Shut up. Here's my money," and that's what works for me. But the whole theme of it, getting to go in and be the pilot. It's not just a typical board game. Okay, move 3 spaces. Okay, move 3 spaces, turn over a card. No, you get caught up in it because you're working as a squadron, and it's the name really pulls it in, and to me it was like the movie. You get in there, I felt like I was being a part of the movie with it. So, I know y'all gonna lowball me. I'll go 9.5 again. I like it. I like it. It's almost dead of winter for me.
Oh,
Almost.
It's up there.
well, it is ranked number 26 of all time on the BGG list. So, the theme for me is, it starts with a 10 just when you say Star Wars.
Right.
Now, I would have probably left it there, but I've seen some guys online making homebrew campaigns using this stuff that I think they could have went one extra step. Instead of having just the X-Wing box itself coming with just, here's the rules on how to skirmish, and you just get a point system and you build points and you just throw them at each other. Why didn't they build from the beginning a story? Because that's what Star Wars is supposed to be all about. It's an epic space opera, and so they could have done something like I've seen done by the community out there, such as that Heroes of the Artillery cluster, which we're currently playing through.
Very cool.
Which
cool.
would have taken that. Now I can't give this a 10 as it comes as the box because it's not the theme. They could have done more with. They gave you a skirmish game and they gave you a point-based military squad game, but they didn't give you any story to go with it, which is where Star Wars excels, in my opinion. And so that's going to
understand that.
It's going to pull it down from where it should have been, and as a Star Wars game. And so I'm going to give it an 8.7.
Mm-hmm. Well, I could not agree more with David and less with Chris, actually. Well, but just more of a semantics thing for me. To me, that would fall under gameplay and not theme. For me, the theme is Star Wars, and it's perfect. It's a 10. It's a 10. That's all I really need to say about it. It's everything I thought it was going to be, so I'm giving it a 10.
Well, then I'm convinced. No. Can't argue with that.
No, I'm just saying I do think that you have a good point, and I was going to bring that up, but I was going to bring it up under gameplay is all, you know. So
I see the story as part of the thematic elements of it, so I'm going to leave my score the way it is.
we'll agree to disagree, but I think both those are still really high.
Rule not C.
No. Anyway,
Yes,
it's a 10.
yes.
Star Wars, X-Wing, there it is.
Very close.
It's a 10.
All right. So we're going to go straight into gameplay. Since we were talking about it.
Gameplay, to me, it played very smoothly. Again, I'm still a novice in this. I'm nowhere near experienced as these two guys. Mine's more online gaming. This game, though, it was easy to play. I enjoyed it. To me, it was easy to follow, and I could get sucked into it, knowing that you can work together. That really done it for me. It's one thing to do solo missions, and I believe with this game you can play by yourself. Am I right?
Well, you'd have to figure out a way to play
There's some homebrew campaigns that allow you to do that.
Okay.
The artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
which has been done really well out there too with the homebrew stuff.
But as far as the game as it comes, no, you can't.
I like games, especially over the last year or so of playing with these guys, is when you play as a group, when you're a collective and trying to achieve something. To me, I have more fun with that. Especially if you got somebody who is pretending to be a good guy and they're not. When you got that in there, that's a whole lot of fun.
See that winner.
I would like to have seen something like that in here, where you got somebody who's maybe a spy for
Rebel spy.
for the Empire that's trying to infiltrate.
Many Balthans have died bringing us this.
But as far as just gameplay and going through it, to me it's very simple. It's easy to play. It's not complicated. Unlike some games where I've seen where you got 5 rule books trying to decipher what this one move is, this is not real bad. So I will give it. I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9.
Very giving tonight.
Yeah, well, I really like this. This game appeals to me. This is something. Well, as we go through the next couple of deals, this is something I would readily play again. And I look forward when I get the text, "Hey, game night. This is what we're doing." Sorry, kids, Daddy loves you. I gotta go. I'm ready to go play. I enjoy this, and I look forward to it. So but a lot of that is getting to play with the guys. This is something good to play if you want to play with your family or get together. The gameplay is easy to work with. So yeah, I'll give it a 9 on that.
Oh, yeah. When I first played this game, the rules, I didn't read the rule book. They were explained to me by someone who had just read the rule book. And there were a couple of errors made, and we had to refer back. And I thought this game, from the description and from how it was being explained to me, was impossibly complex. I thought, this is ridiculous that that we can't. This should be more smooth than this. But once I read the rule book and actually deciphered what some incorrect things have been done, it's really well done for a miniatures game, especially when you used to play these Avalon Hill box bookshelf games and stuff, and you're used to like Squad Leader and games that take hours to set up and plan. This is a fast, fun, quick game that uses a lot of, well, I even say with estimation, because some of these, when you're holding the thing above it and trying to see where you can shoot, you're really everyone's agreeing that is in range, rather than getting down to the fine millimeters or even a hex map like you would with another squad-based game. So I think they really made it accessible. They made it easy, and like you said, the rule book is really small, so there's not a lot of complexity to it. Now, every expansion you buy, each ship has something new to go with it, like ion cannons or whatever, and so that adds complexity. But by that point, you're supposed to have already garnered the knowledge you need to play the base game. But on the gameplay level, what I don't like is that it's like, by the rules now, it's a 2 or 4 player game. Basically, they don't try to get away from that. It's supposed to be a 1-on-1 type game, whereas I hardly ever play 1-on-1 games anymore.
Right.
So I like these home style campaigns where you can all play on one side versus an AI. I like the ones where you can play 4-on-4 or 2-on-2, 3-on-3, whatever you want to do, rather than being pretty much hemmed in. If you're going to play this game, you're thinking 1-on-1. So I thought that was a little limiting, but that's not much of a hindrance because the community has overcome it with these campaigns. And so I'm going to give it a 9 because I think it's very well done, and obviously it had something to go on. I don't think they built this from scratch. I think a lot of these World War II games have paved the way for how they determined to do this, but they adapted it really well. Ion cannons make sense now. I mean, what they do to your ship makes sense. Dropping bombs makes sense. So it's a strong 9 too.
It has a strong foundation. The whole game does.
Yeah, there's a lot of designers and a lot of previous game designers, I think, who brought something to the table on this.
Yeah, I agree. This is a fun game, and this is a pretty easy game to play. You can jump on this out of the box. There are a ton of moving parts. There's all kinds of tokens and chits and markers and cards and modifications and things like that. So it sort of looks overwhelming, but it flows pretty easily and it sets up pretty quick. So considering how much there is that goes into getting the table ready and getting it ready to go, the setup goes pretty quickly, and the setup is kind of fun too, because you're looking at your ship and then, do I want to upgrade my astromech, or do I want to try to save more points and put on more weapons, or so while you're setting up, you're also already starting to formulate what you're going to do in that round or whatever. So I thought the gameplay on this was really pretty smooth, especially compared to the way it looked. I thought it was going to be kind of clunky because there's an awful lot that goes into it, a lot of moving parts and everything, but I think it works really well. So I think that also would indicate that they used a lot of those systems that have already been worked out in the other dogfighting games, but why not? So I think it really comes out in the end to be a really fun experience, and especially you are probably going to end up home ruling this a little bit yourself, or going and finding something from one of the existing online forums that there's some excellent stuff out there. So I really like it, and every expansion adds something to it, but it melds in really easily. So I'm going to give it just a good solid 9.0 on this one.
All right. And I would say that going to find these forums that have all this information out there is a good indicator of how well received this game is, because people are already out there making new stuff for it because they can't wait till the next expansion comes out. And the people that make those plain old tackle boxes, this is their dream right here. Every
is
little
really
marker has to
handy.
have its own space.
Yep.
And it's a dream. So let's go into replayability.
OCD kicking in. We can't have stuff touching.
No.
Everything's got to have its space.
Darn
The even
right.
numbers over here.
Replayability, for me, this is a no-brainer, guys. You can already see I'm in love with it. It's all I can do not to start stroking
Don't
the
touch
ship.
Display only. Do not touch.
To me, it's a solid 10. I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to blow smoke up y'all's butts. I love playing this game. I look forward to playing this game. I believe this game, when you go into it, if you got the good attitude and you come in ready to have fun, you're going to. If you don't like Star Wars, you ain't going to like it. You're just not going to. The only thing I would like is what Chris hit on earlier. I would love to have some story in it. Us as a group, we kind of type up little stories behind our characters and stuff like that. That's just something we like to do. But I would love to have a story to follow through in all this here. So, where it's like the game is a continuation of the movie, either a prequel or afterwards, years on. That would be really awesome if they could put something like that into it. But outside of that,
A couple of the expansions do have a campaign that come with them. So the very large ships actually have like 4 missions that you do as a story. But
well,
just so
I'm
you
not,
know, but we're not grading it on that. We're grading on this. But just so you were aware of that.
well, I'm looking forward to that. So I'm gonna start opening my wallet and start buying because they got the initial stuff. I'm gonna start bringing some other stuff because I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. So outside of that, I'm not deviating. It's 10.
So replayability, I can't give it a 10 because these homebrew campaigns have added an element which I think take it to a 10. So taking away from that, I'm going to have to take a little bit away from it because there's some room for improvement right out of the box. And so I'm going to give it a 9 for replayability for me, which is really high. But I love to play this game, but always something else to add.
Yep, there's no doubt. I think you're right on the money there, and I do feel compelled. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but on behalf of one of our other Board Game Batcave members who's not here tonight, I have to step in and do my best Jared impersonation
Because he's a great
and
guy.
say, "Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da."
It's got to be
I
the low
don't
number.
really like Star Wars, but I love this game. So, to David's point earlier, I do think, Jared does think, that even if you don't just love everything Star Wars, the mechanics of this game are good enough that you might enjoy it anyway. So, but back to me, the OGG, on my
Who now just
review.
earned the ire of 50 million fans because he said he didn't like Star Wars.
Right, but that wasn't me. That was not me. No, I think the only thing that would have made this better has already been solved. So I'm not going to keep repeating it, but it's out there. You can find what you need to fix the campaign styles and the
Storage.
artificial intelligence and all that and everything. So I can't give it a 10 because of those things that were lacking straight out of the box, but it's pretty darn close. This is a lot of fun. You're going to have a good time, even though you're working as a team, you're working as a squadron, you're still, of course, going to have that bickering and that inner competition to see who can down the most bogeys and all that stuff.
Gentleman's bet.
There's always going to be that goes along with it.
So bring your call sign on your helmet.
Absolutely. So on top of the gameplay itself, you've got that just built-in, team camaraderie that it builds and everything. So it's a lot of fun. I think this is one that everybody in our group looks forward to playing when it comes around. So that grades it all the way out for me in the end for a 9. Still a really strong high score.
And I'd like to say to all those people out there who maybe don't like this kind of game, but are still Star Wars nerds, you can buy these things just to put on your shelf. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
that
like
cool.
display quality. So
I'm thinking seriously about hanging them in my office at the sheriff's department. So
it's got a lot of perks to just owning the game. There's not many games you can just put up on your shelf and people comment on when they walk in, you know. But this game, the miniatures themselves are just little pieces of art too. So there you have it. We're going to tally up our scores with a back computer, and we're going to put them right there for you to see where we think it should go in the BGG Top 100. Do we think it's higher? We'll see. We'll put over his head what BGG thinks, and then we'll put over, we already got right here what the score is, and then we'll put over his head what rank it is with the BGG 100. And then in the credits, remember to check out the credits because we've got every game we've reviewed so far and where it stands in relation to each other, and compare that to the BGG list and see how we're doing. Until then, next time we'll tackle another game from the BGG 100, and we'll see you then.
See ya.
just stay tuned because you never know what we're going to be bringing to the table.